How's it going, you guys? Hi. Hey guys, I'm a little early. I just want to set up so I can make sure we see everything. Hey Eric. Hi SJ Park. Hi Jeremy. How's it going? Jeremy, I forget. Are you in school? Hi Dana. Are you in school? Are you a pastry apprentice? I know that you were younger when you introduced yourself. Abigail, hello. Anna, hi from Spain. Happy New Year, you guys. This is the first time I'm making macarons this year. Hello from Houston. Hi, Jaslyn. I've got my scribe ready from Jaslyn. She made this for me. So, it's ready in case I need it. Love you, lady. Hello from Trinidad. I hope everyone's staying safe. It's a little crazy right now. I'm a little extra anxious today, so bear with me. Okay, so today we're going to be doing multicolored macarons from one batch. I've got 77 grams of egg whites. This is all from the same base recipe as my macaron 101. It's just scaled down a tiny bit. So instead of 100 grams, I'm doing 77 grams. So when you want a different ratio, if you're doing a larger batch or a smaller batch, you just need to multiply each ingredient by the same factor. So with 77 grams, I multiplied everything by 0.77 to get everything on the same ratios as my base recipe. So we've got 77 grams of liquid egg whites, 69 grams of sucrose or sugar, and 3 grams of egg white powder. Long time, I see you. Well, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here at the live. Yeah, how's everyone doing? Everyone good? The UK from Wales, awesome. Here, Kristen, hello. Kirsten or Kirsten? Okay. From Belgium, hello. I'm gonna get started since we're right about 1 o'clock now. And again, we're just doing multicolored macarons from one batch. And I want to do some Valentine's colors. Hello from New York. So I love these. The Sprinkle Melody is from the Flower Girl shop, and it's Sweet Apolita, bought through theflowergirl.com. And it's for Christmas, but I thought it was perfect colors. I always like to do the turquoise and then the red and the white and the pink for Valentine's Day. So I thought we could do a multicolored macaron with 3 different colors and do either a pink, a red, and a turquoise, or pink, white, and turquoise. You guys tell me which one. Pink, red, turquoise, or pink, white, turquoise. Should we do these 3 colors or add a white in? Pink, white. Okay, so we won't do the red. We're gonna do pink, white, and the white and the turquoise. So we're gonna split our batter into 3, and I'll show you where to do that in the process, and then we'll separate it and then color each separated bowl of the batter a different color. So since you're gonna have a white color, you only need 2 spatulas. So we'll probably be good with these 2. If you're doing 3, you might need a 3rd spatula, or sometimes I wipe it down really clean from my bowl. Either way, it's nice to have separate spatulas to not mix the colors too much, depending on how many dishes you wanna do. When you're doing these macarons, if you're selling macarons, if you're doing custom orders and you do multicolored macs, it takes more waste and more time to do multicolored macarons. So you could think about selling these for a little bit more as like custom macs, because you lose extra batter when you're dividing it all up into multiple piping bags. You're gonna lose a little bit of batter in this bag, you're gonna lose a little bit of batter in this bag, a little batter in this bag. So there's more waste and more dishes. So think about that if you're thinking of business-wise when you do these. At my farmers markets, I kept them the same price, just because it's easier that way, but like for a custom order, I'd charge more, because they take more time. So what I do is if you saw, have little clips on each of my bags. I'm gonna put each color in a different bag and then put all 3 of the bags in the big bag. And I'll show you guys, it will make more sense when I do it. If you haven't seen like my Instagram, I have some videos on doing multicolored macarons on there, but if you haven't seen it before, then you'll be able to see it here. But each one should have a little closure on it, a bag clip, so it's not going to spill out when you fill each bag. If you have plastic bags, you don't have to worry about these. So you just don't snip the tips if you have plastic bags. So I'm going to set up everything beforehand, because you know splitting your batter, mixing each one separately causes it more time mixing and having your batter sit. So you want to have everything prepped beforehand to make sure you're as efficient as possible, okay? Because the longer your batter sits, the more it's going to break down and you're going to get those fragile tops, you're going to get cracks, and it's not going to be nice and full, it'll be brittle. Okay, so we've got our 77 grams of egg white powder. I mean, not egg white powder. We're going, I was doing school. We got our 77 grams of egg whites. Then I've got my 69 grams of sugar, 3 grams of egg white powder mixed into my sugar so it doesn't clump up as soon as it hits that liquid. Egg white powder tends to clump, so if you disperse it into your sugar, it helps. This is the egg white powder I use. I keep it at room temperature. I've seen some people put it in their fridge. I've never done that. It works great at room temperature as well. Egg white, dried egg whites. It's on my Amazon storefront if you want, or just search on Amazon Judy's egg whites. It's never failed me. It's a good brand. Okay. As long as you're getting 100% dried egg whites in there, it doesn't really matter about the brand. I also have my confectioner's sugar. Courtney, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. This has 100 grams of confectioner's sugar and 100 grams of almond flour already mixed up. I've already sifted this, so it's ready to go. Again, you just want to be super efficient when you start going. You don't want to have to put together anything. You just want to keep going because it does take that extra time when you're splitting your batter. I'm so happy you are here. That's why I love having a variety of things. You know, some people can make classes and that's great, and then other times just these lives are great too. It just doesn't give, I can't see you, so that's the only part I love about classes is that I can help you directly. I've got my bowls ready for when I split my batter. Are we ready to do this? Is there a reason why I'm using my hand mixer? So I'm using a hand mixer, great point, because it's not a big enough batch. That I prefer having at least 90 to 100 grams of liquid egg whites in my 5-quart mixing bowl. Anything below that, I feel like it doesn't get the strongest meringue. So when I do these smaller batches, I always use my hand mixer. When I do 90 grams or more of egg whites, I'll use my stand mixer. All right, so you can mute me if you want. I'm gonna start mixing and just gradually put in the sugar, and then we'll mix in our dries and go from there. nice and foamy in here, so I'm going to start sprinkling in that sugar. Jelly Cherry, I'm so happy to hear that. Emily, hi. I'm glad you could make a live. Happy New Year. First batch of Macs today of the whole new year. Of the whole year. Yep. Oh, I'm so happy that I was able to reply to you. Thank you for trusting my advice. Thank you, Dora. Hit that like button. I love you so much. My airbrush. I have two airbrushes. The Sugar Art sells the Pegasus. I'll write it down because it's loud. So I've been at only a speed 1 that whole time. It is fluffy, but not at all like at a peak stage. So I'm going to turn it to a medium now. Hi, Heidi. Did you see I put the airbrush in the comments? Jelly Perry, I will answer your question in a second, yeah. You always want to move, if you're using a hand mixer, move it around your bowl. You don't want to stay right in the middle, or else the sides of that bowl will still stay really liquidy. Hi, Pamela. Let's see what I got so far. Ramos, yes. Thank you for purchasing the MacBook. And yes, I have put the salted caramel into buttercream. I've put it into Italian meringue and Swiss meringue buttercream. It's excellent. My handle for Instagram is Baked Toujours. Ramos, I just saw the second part of your question. Yeah, it not maturing. This is what you want. I'm just gonna make sure the whole bit is like that. So it's a little bit droopy. So I'm gonna go like 30 more seconds and then I'll get to those questions. Let's see here. You want it nice and stiff. I'm going to keep going actually a tiny bit more. Tiny bit more. It's nice and thick and full. There we go. See how pointy that is? That's the ticket right there. Okay, so there were some questions. I wrote in there that I like the Pegasus from the Sugar Art airbrush. It is good quality. I won it in a giveaway, so I don't know the price point. But I had before that the Cake Boss airbrush, which I think is discontinued, and it was only like $60, and it's a little less nice than the Pegasus, but I feel like it did the job, depending on what you want to airbrush. You could look at something in like the $70 range. And then there's the Cookie Countess has one, and I hear that's a really good one, but it's around $120. Hi Corey, nice to see you here. I haven't tried the Chef Master airbrush. I've tried their colors. I love their colors. Okay, I'm gonna keep going, and then once these are drying, I'll go back to these questions because I had a couple I wanted to answer and I forgot already. So I'm just putting in about 1/3 of my dries. Again, we didn't color this because we're gonna split the batter up after all our dries are incorporated and then put in the different colors, right? So I'm just going to sort of lightly, I guess, gently is the word I was looking for, gently incorporate those dries. So get at the bottom of your bowl, mix it all around. Someone was so hilarious. They watched my 101 macaron book, and I like the wider bowls. I like the stainless steel bowls more than this bowl that goes up and has like a deeper bowl. He's like, you said get a wide bowl, so I ordered one, and it was just the hugest bowl ever. He's like, I think it was a little too big, but it was so funny. I love getting your emails and your questions, so keep them coming. Tell me your stories. I have so much fun hearing about your macaron or pastry journey in general. So I'm going to do the last addition. So again, I'm not deflating purposefully. Of course, it's going to happen when you're incorporating the fat of the almond flour into your meringue. But try not to deflate too much. Just kind of keep going in circles. Cut through the middle every once in a while. Because we're going to have to mix in our color thoroughly. So you want to keep as much volume as possible right now. And I promise I'll get to these questions. I love that this is a global. I know, the community is awesome, right, Dana? It's especially nice for me too, because I learned so much about, different products in different regions, and I'm not just to try to understand you know, because a lot of people have to make their own almond almond meal or almond flour in different countries, so it's just really fun to hear everyone's experiences with it, or what works best for them, I guess. Okay, so this is where I'm at. So I've got all the dries incorporated. It's not at all flowy. It's not where you want it to be. This is basically where you want it to be to do those rosette macarons I posted today on Instagram if you saw them. I know, it's crazy, but you try not to deflate on the rosettes so they keep their shape. Hello from, is it New Hampshire? Is that in? So this is where I'm going to separate my batter. You want to make sure on the very bottom of your bowl you don't have dries left. Everything's incorporated, right? You can do it in thirds, whatever prominent color you want. I'm going to try to do it equally in thirds. If I wanted to do it perfectly, I would put a scale out, but work fast in the case of macarons. So, I feel like chicken tonight. I feel like this is pretty good. So we're going to have this bowl, and this bowl. I like to always start with my white and move on from there. Oh, you did? How do you like it? I really want your feedback. Oh, you can always email me, message me. I encourage you to if you have questions, because, you know, as a person putting a product out for people, I want it to be good and I want to be able to improve it. So I have added a lot since the first day that I put it out, and I hope that people are pleased with it. This is my workbook. Sorry, I read a comment that said, but it got taken away, so I don't know if she did or he did. Okay, so I'm just doing the white aspect. I don't add anything to my white unless I get a little powder. I'll put in some Chef Rubber powdered colors for macarons. So we want it to be flowy, and that looks about good. Ready? That's exactly where we want it. It's flowing off. You saw before how it just kind of like was paste, right? And now it's flowing like lava, or however people describe it, molten lava. Okay, so we've got our white done. Now we'll do our turquoise and then our pink. I can keep this spatula, but it's a little bit big for this bowl, so I'm actually gonna switch. That's usually why I like to do the white first, because then you can keep using the same spatula. But this bowl's a little too small. Okay, turquoise, Americolor, gel paste. Shake it up before you use it. Again, so I have that egg white powder. Oh, that's what I wanted to address. Someone said that their egg white powder still clumped. I was curious if you had a fork and you kind of whisked it in thoroughly, because I feel like it needs to really get dispersed into that sugar and kind of coated with the sugar in order to not be affected by the liquid. There we go. Turquoise, I'm going to do 2 drops. 1, 2. I'm very timid with coloring. I don't like to have a lot. I hate it when it tastes bitter at the end. Like, I just can't stand the taste of tasting your coloring. So that's why I like to use a little bit of black cocoa powder and cocoa powder in my darker colors, just so I don't have to do as much colorant. Because, I mean, they say it's FDA approved, so it should be fine. But I always, is FDA? Yeah. I always get a little worried about food coloring. Okay. So 2 little drops, and then I'm just doing the normal macaronaging here. Just keep kind of checking. So what I didn't say is, at first, I'll show you with the pink more. You kind of just spin the batter around itself, tumble it without pressing any of the gases out in the beginning, just to disperse and have more control of the final product. Disperse the color, and then you can start deflating, and then you don't have to worry so much about trying to have it dispersed before it deflates too much, if that makes sense. Okay, let's see where we're at. Looks good, yeah? This batter also gets a little more worked because you're constantly trying to squeeze all 3 bags. And I just feel like I'm pressing down a little bit more. So kind of take that into consideration. You don't necessarily have to undermix it, but I would definitely err on undermixing than overmixing when you're doing multiple colors. Okay. Now, make sure you close up each bag and don't let it just fresh to the air, because it will like dry up too, and then you work it again and then it starts to break down quicker too. Okay, so last one, we're gonna do the pink. And I will get back to you guys' questions. 1, 2, this one is Chef Master. So I had a Maricolor, Chef Master, and then nothing. This is deep pink. And I got a little spatula now. My sister-in-law gave these to me for Christmas, and I love them. I've been wanting them. I feel like Zena from Majestical Macaron. She has her cute sprinkles spatulas. Okay, so here's what I was saying before. You're just kind of tumbling the batter at first to disperse that color. So then you can start deflating and have more control over how much you want to deflate, instead of deflating too much and then still having it look like this. All right, can you guys see? So after this, we'll put all 3 of these piping bags, we'll take off the tips, the chip bags, whatever they're called, chip clips, and we will put them all 3 into one bag fitted with a piping tip and start piping. Just make sure if you're using different size spatulas, you work everything the same amount. Sometimes when I have a smaller spatula, I feel like I'm mixing so much more and I tend to undermix too much. Because it just has a different feel when you're doing a smaller size spatula. Okay, we're pretty good here. I feel like this deep pink got a little out of hand. It's like hot pink. That looks about good. Do a couple more deflates. Make sure you get all of it, kind of tumble it back together to make sure it's all evenly deflated. And we'll do one final look at the batter. That looks great. Okay, so in this bag, and now we're taking all those chip clips off. We're gonna put the big guy. This is an 18-inch piping bag. The other ones are 12-inch. Fitted with a 9mm tip, so it's just under 1 centimeter. Okay, anyways, sometimes words are difficult for me. Okay, so we've got all 3. This is kind of the critical point. I'll make sure you guys can see this. I'm gonna put you down a little bit. Okay, so all 3 bags have each one, just kind of re-situate each one, make sure all the batter is up as far as possible to limit the amount of squeezing you have to do through this bigger bag. So putting this one, taking off the tips of all of them. Okay, line them up. Just hold them like this. Put them in. So I got all 3 of them. Fitting them into my big piping bag, and now we're gonna pipe out of this. Okay, it's definitely a handful, especially with the reusable bags. So let me get this situated, and we'll pipe and then dry, and I'll let you guys, and then I'll answer questions. Okay, so it'll take maybe a couple of them to start coming out nice and multicolored. Usually one is kind of hanging a little bit lower than the other one, so the white was. So don't worry, it will come out. I'm shaking, sorry guys. I ate lunch and everything. So the white, that was my fear. The white got a little bit mixed in with the other ones. Let's see if I can get my shaking under control. All right, here we go. So it is a little bit easier to have a color, a third color, because the white definitely gets overtaken right through the nozzle, but it still gives it a nice white streak. But if, like with my Lucky Charms macarons, which I have the thumbnail for this video, like I love that because you only have 3 colors, but where it blends a little bit of the different colors, it makes more of a rainbow color, so it's nice. Why am I so shaky? So usually this size batch will make multiple trays, but like I said, it has more waste. So I might only fill up 1 tray. And let me push this up a little bit so I can get it all up to the tip again. Because my little hands, they definitely squeeze and it pops this way a little bit. It's definitely easier with plastic bags, but I don't have any. Okay. Ready? Air bubbles. Should we put sprinkles or no sprinkles? Pushing everything forward again. And the more you push it forward, the more it's gonna marry in the tip. So it's gonna get more and more purpley with the mixing. I'll even, at this point, I'll take you guys over here. I will take my 3 piping bags and just put them up away from the tip so they stop right here, and just push them all together. So they're gonna get more of like that marbled look towards the end, but it's really the only way I can get all the batter out. And then I'll just work with one for the last few. And usually they are so worked in the bag that they get brittle, for me at least. Gotta get every last bit. All right. So shake it out. And if you guys have a scribe and you want to get out some of the air pockets, you can. I'll show you guys. Should we do sprinkles? I forgot. Sprinkles, okay, yeah. You guys said sprinkles. It doesn't work with me. The butterfly said it doesn't work for you. Do you mean sprinkles don't work for you, or the batter in 3 different containers? What do you guys think of the colors? Not as much white as I would like. But let's see, sprinkles. We're gonna do these. I'm gonna make sure the big circles, like the candy ones, will not get on here. So I'm gonna kind of pick and choose which sprinkles go on, because some of them will melt on there. But I love this blend so much. There's like, because it was more of a winter blend, there are little, I'm shaking too much to show you, but there are little snowflakes, and all those things can go on. This big Jimmy here, questionable. It will sink a little bit. I've done it before, but it wasn't disastrous, so we'll see. All right, I'm just gonna put them on some. I'm shaking too much. And I was cleaning out my colors this morning, and I got forest green stuck on my finger, so my apologies for that. What coloring did I use? I used Multicolored turquoise and Chef Master deep pink on here, and then just white, plain white. Oops, I put a red one on. We don't want that red one. Let me get my scribe and just kind of take some of these noticeable air pockets out. There we go. Okay, just a couple are gonna have sprinkles. So we got some with, some without. Usually if you want them to fit in your box, if you have clunky sprinkles, do only like half with them, or else they get really hard to situate if your container is like a 12 box lengthy one, like a long one. So I've got, look at these ones, guys, with the last ones I piped, these two. They look so cool. Pretty like psychedelic. Okay, I'm gonna pop. Goes the weasel. You'd think I'd be used to doing these after doing all the lives, but I still get so nervous. Shaky. You can, if you don't have a scribe, you can use a toothpick. If you guys wanted to accentuate the swirl, when you're piping, you can like swirl your bag around as well. I was too shaky to have a handle on swirling today, so I was just piping straight down, and it creates its own beautiful swirl, especially once you stop the piping and then you kind of flick your wrist to break the batter off. That gives it that nice swirl. Okay, so we are going to let these dry, and I'm gonna, if you guys want to ask your questions again, if I didn't get to them and if they were really high up in the conversation, and then we'll just let these bad boys dry. I'll take a picture. I never take pictures while I'm doing lives, and then I'm like, oh, we didn't have any pictures of those. Okay. I also just wanted to share, I was gonna use this if I had extra, which is Lisa from Borderlands Bakery. So this is a mat. I usually show my Hello Cocinero ones, which are thicker ones. These are thinner, which I really like as well. I feel like they spread a little bit more on the thinner ones, but they cook faster if you have a lot of trouble with like getting macarons too brown with your oven. The thinner mats might work better, and this one's Borderlands Bakery, and then there's also Blue Drop that has a thin, this kind of mat. This is Blue Drop. It's nice and thin, just like that. And I think what I'm seeing on people's Instagram stories and stuff, it seems like Shop the Flour Girl has thinner ones too. If you tend to have browning of your macarons because you have to cook yours too long with the silicone mat, a thinner mat might be better for you. Okay. We'll put on the Sugar Art Diamond Dust after baking. You could do before. I just like to do it at the end. Now, let me get your questions. I'm going to put this bad boy over here. Oh, I forgot to take off this red dot. Mom, I'll just keep it on. There's like a big red candy sprinkle on there, and I'll show you guys what happens when you bake it. Oh yeah, see, is it Eleni? No, let me try this again. Eleni. Damn it. Eleni. I feel like I'm butchering that. But she said she loves the Shop the Flour Girl mats. So everything that I've gotten from there I've really enjoyed. So you can definitely look on her website too if you're looking for thinner mats. Perfect. Okay. Can I make it without egg white powder? Yes, you can definitely make macarons without egg white powder. It is not a necessity. I would recommend doing a little bit of cream or tartar. If not, that also has an end result that is the same, which is just trying to strengthen your meringue, keep it stable for longer so it doesn't not disintegrate, but just start to break down with the mixing of your dries. Okay, oh, so you used American buttercream, Ramos. Okay, and they were not maturing. So, but the same ones matured well. Interesting. So American buttercream can be quite sugary and stiff. Do you know how much sugar you are using per stick of butter? But when you're adding that salted caramel, you'd think it would soften it up. So that's really confusing to me. I was able to make decent macarons with your method. Have I tried? I have tried doing the oven drying once when I was doing, I think it's Sugar Beans method, her Swiss method, and then drying. But I feel like it's not as conducive. It's not a very good method with a gas oven, because when you're heating up a gas oven, it creates so much condensation in my oven. It worked for some reason when I did it live, but usually when my oven's not fully up to temp, it has like a film, it has condensation all over the door as it heats up, and I wouldn't want to put my max in there. So I don't recommend that with a gas, regular, conventional oven, but I hear a ton of people love doing it. Or if you have like a dehumidifier, no, not a dehydrator, you can pop them in there if you have small enough pans and dry it out really quickly in the dehydrator. I'm trying to think of the words. Baking class and art class as well. Oh, very good. Baking class is the best type of class. Why did they get rid of home ec? I don't understand. Okay, let's see here. I missed a lot of people's. Not sure. Did someone ask a question? I see Jan responding to someone. It's on her Amazon. Yes, Diamond Dust is so pretty. Kara. So she, in our group, our macaron, our discussion group for on Facebook, she baked on aluminum foil. And I mean, some of them you said were lopsided, but it might have just been because they were your last tray or something, and they were so full. Has anyone else tried aluminum foil? Kara or Kara, will you raise your hand at the end just so people can ask you if they have any questions about it? I want to buy. Please send me a link. Someone said they want to buy something. What was it for? Was it the mats or... When I bake, I have a small oven and only one big pan and two smaller pans. Then the batter sits. And have them live. So Lindsay, I've heard people have completely different thought processes about this and different experiences. I cannot leave my batter in my bag, and I feel like it sets a little bit in my bag, and then as soon as I pipe it out, it is ruining my batter even more. I feel like I have better luck if I just let it rest longer. If you're using egg white powder, it's gonna help you while it rests to not deteriorate. I know some people rest their macs for like 2 hours and they're fine. So it really has to do with your environment, unfortunately, and I can't advise you the best way. But some people love just leaving their batter in their piping bag and then piping later. I cannot do that. I'm sorry, guys. I feel like I'm very behind. Do you recommend piping all the batter at the same time? Okay. So I do. That's my method for French macarons. Italian method, I hear it works really well to keep it in your bag. For Swiss method, I've heard people leave it in their bag as well, because at least with Swiss method, I get really big feet on my macarons, so I don't like them to sit a super long time when I do Swiss method. So I've heard people have the same result, so they keep it in their bag so it's not sitting for too long. Hi Deborah, nice to see you as well. Your handle is French for a while, I think. You guys have to check out her on Instagram. She lived in France, in Paris, right? For years, right? Tell us about yourself. Give us a bio. No, but I love her content. Okay, let's see here. I don't know if you saw this, but what did you do for your first Mac tutorial? I'm making one of my businesses, and it's my first one. Okay, Abigail, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Let me try rereading. What did you do for your first Mac tutorial? Like what my method was for my first? How do you prevent wrinkly tops? So in order to prevent wrinkly tops, you need your meringue to be super strong. Sometimes people will get wrinkly tops when they add too much like fat. So if you have an oily almond flour or an oil-based coloring, those will cause wrinkly tops. Or if you add cocoa powder, too much cocoa powder, I hear there's like an extra fatty cocoa powder or something that can cause wrinkled tops as well. So it really has to do, number one, with your batter is wrong. And usually that's because it's broken down from too much oil or too much mixing, or not a strong enough meringue. Okay. I want to buy bubble remover pin. So there's a few, someone gave that scribe to me, but I do know that if you want to get so there's this one that's from Shop the Flower Girl, and it's another type of scribe, or I had a Wilton one that broke recently, and it's on my Amazon macaron favorites shop. So I think it's www.com/shop. It will be on that. Hello. It will be at that site. What cocoa powder do I use? I think it was Calibo. I would get it so I've used a few different kinds, and excuse me as I probably butcher the names, you know me. Calibo chocolate cocoa powder. It's like a medium brown color. Let me turn on my oven. And then I've used, it's like starts with an R, and they make really good vanilla as well. Rondelle or something. Rondelay. I love rondelay cheese, but Rondelle, I think is what it is. And they have like an organic, beautiful cocoa powder that used to be sold at Costco, and I loved that. Really good price point, but I think it's expensive outside of Costco. And then another one, I've used Hershey's. I mean, I recently used Hershey's Dark. Let me get it. I can't reach in my cabinets. Okay, so here's the black cocoa powder I use, the Cocoa Trader. That is black. It's not the best for flavor, so I use a mixture when I'm doing chocolate max of black and then a brown cocoa powder that has better flavor. It even says on the back of this product is used as a coloring agent for baked goods. It is not typically used for flavor. So important to know, it doesn't have the best flavor. It's not bad when you pair it with a good cocoa powder though. So I've even used Hershey's cocoa and it worked. I was in like an emergency situation, and the Calibo one is only like a 3-pound bag or something. And I didn't want to purchase that because I'm not making large bulk anymore. So I got this and tried it, and it worked. So it's just dark chocolate. Okay. When you were selling, did you do anything to test each batch? I made each batch and freeze a few days and then fill. Yeah, so Courtney, let me think back. I feel like it's been a decade ago. I would always taste my macarons. I feel like I wouldn't crack them open, but once filled, I guess I feel like you can tell if your shell is bad right away, because you can notice that it's brittle, it's not gonna be fluffy inside by the look of it. And I feel like I would have one lopsided one, and I'd always test that. And if it was brittle, but I feel like I could push enough up of the filling to like withhold the shell down, I wouldn't toss them all. I would use them as samples or something, because every bit counts, and you don't want to be, it's a business, you don't want to have too much product waste, so try to save it as any way possible. But I would definitely test at least one just to see, and then filling them, and I would test them before each market too, each flavor, and I'd have like 12 to 18 flavors each market, which I don't recommend. It's too much for your customer. But I have a really hard time editing. So I would have 12 to 18 flavors, and I would taste every single one before, and I would get a sugar headache. It was not the funnest part of my job, to be honest, but someone's got to do it, right? Is the recipe or measurements available on Instagram? For what we just made, yes. The recipes are on my, each live I'll say them in the beginning, but if you want a written out of the recipe, you can go to my macaron 101 tutorial video, and in the description of it, it has a recipe written out. Amanda, awesome that you're doing this for a school project. I was 22 when I first made macarons. I didn't make them until pastry school. So I didn't have like that first try in my home. I was at school being instructed. Does ganache always need to have chocolate as a base? I think so. I'm trying to think. I mean, you can definitely change the cream out to have like an apple cider ganache or something like that with a white chocolate. or like an alcohol liquid, but I've never heard of the chocolate being taken out. And I'm curious what you would switch it with. Something that sets, like, is there something that you'd want to set? Is there something in mind that you're wanting to try? Which technique between Italian and French is better, according to me? So, hard question. I feel like it really depends on your equipment. Because before, my oven is prepared. After I left pastry school, I was set. Italian is best. Like, there's no other way. Why would anyone do French? That was my sentiment. And then I got to my home kitchen and I realized the Italian was so finicky with my equipment, and French just worked like a charm. So I really feel like it depends on equipment, and I hate to not answer your question like straightforward yes to one thing, but I feel like that is the story of macarons, right? But I was dead set on Italian until I tried at my house, and it just didn't work as well. They are needing a little more attention, I feel like, with a convection oven really does help, or maybe electric. I don't have too much experience with electric ovens. Okay. I recommend freezing them with or without filling. In a production kitchen, we just froze the shells and then we would fill to order and mature. But they freeze with filling well too. Any recipe you can recommend with the egg yolks? Fresh pasta is awesome to do. That's a great one. I put out a brioche style donut recipe. That's really good to use up your yolks. You could use pastry cream. I have a live on pastry cream, but it was a little choppy because it was in a place that didn't have the best internet service. But I do have a live on pastry cream. It's a great way to use up your yolks. I think, oh yeah, I put a cannelé video out, which is like this delicious custardy treat that has a crusty outside and delicious custard center. Heart-shaped macs, how to make them. Yes, I have a video on how to make heart-shaped macarons. Maybe we could do a live in 2 weeks on heart-shaped, just I feel like you get more of a realistic look at things when it's unedited. So we could try that. Let's see, I freeze and then fill mature. Yes, Courtney, for sure. If they get them and then freeze them right away, definitely. If they are like out at room temperature for hours, I would suggest maybe not freezing them again. But if they go from your freezer, matured in your fridge, and then given them, they could definitely pop them back in the freezer. Just make sure they're not freezing them in like a nice cardboard box that you give it in. At least, excuse me, if it's like a plastic one that is airtight, that's better. Make sure they transfer it to an airtight container if it's not already in it. I feel French buttercream is, oh yes, that's a great one. Prasanna said that French buttercream. So it's a custardy buttercream that uses egg yolks, and it's amazing. I also have a recipe up on that in my 4 buttercream video. That's a great point. I mean, there's so many things. Definitely cinnamon rolls. My cinnamon roll recipe has only yolks in it, so that's another thing I use up my yolks on. Curds, jellies, not jellies, I just wanted to say that. Can you freeze macaron? Can you put your macarons in the freezer? Yes, you can definitely put your macarons in the freezer. I have some in the freezer right now. You want them in an airtight container. I recently purged of my holiday macarons. I stored them in the freezer for 3 weeks, and then after none of us showed any symptoms. I'm just really worried about the coronavirus and spreading that because my husband works in a hospital. He goes in and out, so I'm just extra worried about it. So I stored them in my freezer for 3 weeks, and none of us got sick, so I gave them to our neighbors. So this is all I got left. So it's all stored in my freezer. I made this in December sometime. Yep, these little guys. But yeah, I love storing my macarons in the freezer, and then they're a nice little treat later. And I'm still thinking, if you're still here, Ramos, about the not maturing with the American salted buttercream. I'm still thinking about that, so don't think I passed over you. Yes, and definitely. I mean, oh, here, wait, I thought I saw you. When you freeze them, you take them out, is it common that the shells lose the bright? Interesting. So your macarons lose a little bit of brightness after the freezer. I don't think I see them losing any coloring. I wonder what would cause that. Are you in an airtight container for your macarons? Okay guys, let's try this out. I think they're dry. I'm gonna test in the middle. They are not sticking to my fingers, so I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna put these in the oven. My oven is preheated at 300. I'm gonna drop it down to 275 as soon as I put these in, so my temperature doesn't rise and it stays around 290. Okay. So I've seen some people use liquid food coloring. Someone asked if they can use liquid food coloring. I wouldn't, but I've seen people do it. To be honest, you might get more frilled feet because of the excess moisture, and you might get brittle tops. There's a lot more things that could go wrong if you're doing liquid, but just be careful. I mean, some people put vanilla extract in their batter as well, and it's fine. So I would just say don't go overboard, but definitely you could try if you can't find gel paste colors that you like. I know, Courtney, you're so sweet. I'll forget too, so sometimes people are like, drink water, put your max in, don't forget your max, and I'm like, oh thank you, because I need those cues. Which, speaking of, okay. Oh, so interesting, Abigail, you have issues with just mint extract. I wonder if there's some type of enzyme in there or something that kind of breaks down batter more quickly. Kind of like, I feel like, thank you, Dora. She said good luck. I feel like that happens with spices for me. If I have too much cinnamon or something in my shell. And cinnamon also with yeast acts really funny too if you put too much cinnamon in your dough. Okay, I feel like I'm missing a lot. You guys are awesome today, asking too many questions. So you had 85 butter, 100, okay, powdered sugar is what I use. And then so Ramos, and then you put in the salted butter, the salted caramel as well. I'm thinking maybe there's too much powdered sugar in there. I know you need a lot of powdered sugar to keep it from being too moist with the salted caramel, so I'm trying to picture the textures, but you could try lowering your amount of powdered sugar and see if that helps. You could also, if you know of a filling that is a little stiffer, and brush the bottoms of your shell with like a little bit of simple syrup or milk, just to kind of start the process of maturing, and maybe that will help it. Because this is cookie dough filling in here, and it's the same. It takes a really long time to mature those, and I know when I do the cookie dough max, it's just going to be a little bit stiffer of a cookie in the end. When I did Italian macarons in the beginning, it's glitching. Sorry, I hope is it okay now? when I did Italian method in the very beginning of my business, I feel like they were softer of a cookie in general. They didn't get as hard as my French method macarons. So it's good for using right away, but then if you have extra Italian meringue cookies, at least the method I was using, they would get soft really fast. Yeah, of course. I'm going to open up my oven door just to let out a little steam because that's a lot of macarons in one. Some ovens don't do well when you put in a full tray of macarons because the condensation of all from the cooking will come up, and you have to kind of be aware. In my troubleshooting video, I definitely say like you can shove a wooden spoon or something in your door just so it's cracked a little bit in the first couple minutes to release that steam if you have trouble with cracked macarons. I can't even see in there to see what the temperature's at. Okay, bye if you have class, Magdalena. Thank you for joining while you didn't have class. Were you talking about the buttercream measurements? Yes, I believe I was talking about buttercream earlier when it was 85 grams of butter to 187 grams of sugar. Maybe decrease a little bit of the sugar is what I was thinking. I do not recommend baking more than one tray at a time unless you have an electric convection oven or maybe even a gas convection. I just don't have experience with it. I know some like tabletop convection ovens can do like 4 trays at once, which would be amazing. But I do have a video on how to, I got the, let me try this again. Excuse me. I got the idea, so Nora's Macarons on Instagram. She's like famous for the Mac flip. She told me about, what is this called? Alternating your trays in and out. So you cook it halfway through and then put in another tray. So it's not all at the same time, rising and losing steam. So it really does help. Bye, Zoe. I speak Portuguese. I'm like talking with my hands, I'm sorry. So if you're gonna bake more than one tray at once and you don't have faith in your oven, I recommend looking at my multicolored macaron video that has a secret baking hack. That's the title of it, and it will show you how to alternate your trays through as you bake. Okay, I've had some bother this week with wonky lopsided mats. Okay, Paula, sorry if I've missed you every time you've asked. I hate this because when I moved here, I'd have so many lopsided macarons too. Has it changed weather at all, or do you feel like it's pretty consistent and for some reason this is just out of the blue? How do you prevent half-filled shells? Cecilia, sometimes my shells aren't completely full and I'm okay with that, but if yours are really hollow and they're bothering you, you could no, Paula, I want to talk about it. So do you feel like the weather has changed or anything like that? I want to get down to the but for the half-filled shells, if you really want, you can try adding a tablespoon of cornstarch to the 100-gram egg white recipe I have, and try that. It will just change the texture a little bit more, so be careful. Please change your time. 4 a.m. is too slow. I love your baking. Okay, maybe I'll do an earlier one sometime. Thank you for being here at 4 a.m. That's incredible. Have you tried all allspice bagels. I haven't tried the allspice bagel seasoning on a macaron, but I think that would be delicious. I love salty and sweet. How do you? So the weather hasn't changed. Tiny bit colder from Christmas, and they are getting lopsided. Okay. I use Blue Diamond almond flour. I love it. I keep it in my refrigerator in a Ziploc bag because the seal doesn't always seal very well. And sometimes I don't get a good reseal, so I put it in a Ziploc bag as well. So lopsided macs can be caused from so many things, but if you're saying you're doing exactly the same thing and you haven't experienced them before, I would think that maybe with the colder temperature, possibly your oven is rising a little bit in temperature. Maybe you could try lowering your oven temp a tiny bit in the winter months and see if that helps them rise a little bit slower. Yeah. Is it necessary to put almond flour in the fridge? It's not. So just like your olive oils will go rancid, almond flour will go rancid, but in months. I wouldn't think that if you're using your almond flour quickly, you don't need to put it in your refrigerator. I just do. The only important thing to know is that if you smell it and it smells off, don't use it. Or if you're storing it in the fridge, make sure it's in an airtight container so it does not absorb moisture or absorb smells or odors from your refrigerator. Another thing to remember when you're using almond flour is to bring it to room temperature before you use it. So like I'll scale, because I use it in my refrigerator, store it in my refrigerator, I'll make sure I scale either the night before or a few hours before to get it to room temp. Cupcakes, awesome. Have you ever tried not rusty macarons? I have tried it, and it's worked like once for me, and it usually does not work for me. But I would definitely pipe like 3, something that you're not afraid to lose or the yield of, and just pipe a few on a tray and put them in without resting and try it yourself, because some people swear by that. I mean, even people in a humid environment just don't even rest with French method. I know Whisk from Austin, Texas, Tiana, she doesn't rest hers, she uses French method. So I don't have you guys on I can't show you guys because I can try to put you on the ground. Let's see. Gonna be probably too low. Let's see. Yeah, you can. So that's where they're at. Halfway through, I rotate. Okay. So I have pistachio flour in my freezer as well, and I just will take it out. A pistachio flour where I'm not going to use it all at once. I will just take it out, kind of chip away at what I need, and then put it back in the freezer. Whereas when I'm done with an almond flour bag, I will take my next bag, because I store my almond flour in the freezer, and I'll move it to stay in the refrigerator. So it depends on if you're going to keep using it, you can store it in your refrigerator after it's been in the freezer, but you can keep it, you can just take it right out at room temperature, and you don't have to kind of like temper it into room temp. Just make sure, you can even lay it out on a sheet tray to make sure it dries, or pop it in the oven to dry it out if you feel like it's moist. My oven heats from the bottom. Yeah, Emily, that method is awesome. It makes a really nice, more marbled effect, I feel like. Um, and you have less waste. So Emily asked about putting in saran wrap and then putting your two colors on top of each other, or three colors, or however many colors, and then wrapping up your saran wrap, cutting the tip of the saran wrap log, and then putting it into a piping bag. I love that method too. I feel like I get more distinct colors with the 3 bags, but if you've seen like my Earth Day macarons from last year, they were using that method, and they're very distinct 2 colors. I feel like you can get 2 colors pretty well. Let's see here. Do you have, okay. Am I caught up? Who didn't I answer? I used Bob's Red Mill. Yeah, Bob's Red Mill is supposed to be awesome. I feel like it's a little bit less, fine than Blue Diamond. But I hear it has a great flavor. Your macarons cracked on top. I haven't changed anything. What can cause it? So lots of things can cause the macarons cracking. It could be, over or under whipped meringue. Basically, it comes down to, again, your batter isn't right in some way. Hi, Helen! So you could be having trouble with, if you're under whipping your meringue and then you're folding in that fat from the almond flour, it's going to make your batter kind of start to break down, and then it's going to be weak, and when it dries, you're still going to have these weak spots on that dried surface, and it's going to find when it's rising up, the air is going to pop right out of the weak spots instead of coming out on the bottom and making the pretty feet. So it could be a meringue issue, it could be over mixing, or if it's really moist in your environment or humid, it could be that your macaron shells are not drying properly and they're cracking. So does any of that sound like it could be the case for you? Donuts recipe? Yes, I have a donut recipe on my donut video. How to use up your yolks donut style. Of course. Does that sound like it could be an issue? The issue though, like something going on with your meringue, or maybe over mixing? It's gonna come down to that batter not being strong enough though once it hits the oven. What am I doing for Valentine's Day? I don't even know, because I'm not selling my product. I haven't really thought beforehand on certain boxes or anything like that. Egg substitute egg substitute in donuts. I don't know an egg substitute in donuts. You could try I know if you use like a flax seeds or something and you mix flaxseed and water, that is an egg substitute. It had to be egg free when I had my children. There are lots of different substitutes. You can just Google and try them out in your dough and see which one goes well with a yeasted dough, because I don't know. I haven't played around with that before. One sec. My macarons smell like they're burning or something. They're almost done. They're cooking faster today though. Okay, can you thaw out frozen macarons? Yes, you can definitely thaw out frozen macarons. So I just took these out of the freezer and I opened it right away, right? But I recommend not opening it if you take them out of the freezer. Pop them in the refrigerator right away and let them come to temperature slowly, and then take them out to room temperature. Or else they get a little moist. Like, I'm not worried about these. I'm not selling them. I'm not giving them to anyone. These are just simply for us to eat if we feel like it. So I'm not worried about them getting a little soft, but you will lose any type of crunch you have from the egg-like exterior. So you want to make sure they like come to temperature. They're still frozen. Someone asked me what my favorite flavor is. It's really hard to choose, but that's a peanut butter Italian meringue buttercream filling. One of my favorites. Okay, I'm usually good at just taking one bite of things and being satisfied, but the peanut butter makes me want to keep eating it. I love peanut butter. Okay, my macarons from the freezer didn't mature and stayed crunchy. It could be overbaked. What kind of filling did you use for those macarons? You can definitely use coconut flour. I've heard they're a beast to work with. I forget who told me, but it really helps to grind down your own coconut, because the processed coconut that you get from the store causes a lot of issues. I'm not exactly sure how far, like what kind of product she got and then used her food processor to grind it down. But definitely maybe Google that, because I don't have the experience. My name is Nicole. I love frozen macarons. They're so good. I saw you say 77. Yeah, so Dora, I did 77 egg whites for this recipe, 69 sugar, 3 grams egg white powder mixed thoroughly into my sugar. And then for my powdered sugar and almond flour, I had 100 grams of each of those. Oh, interesting. So Jan, she will fill them and then mature them in the fridge and then move them to her freezer. So she does the opposite of me. And that seems to work out really well for you, Jan. Are you still doing French lately? French method? Hi, Stephanie. Nice to have you here. My macarons get harder and crunchier in the fridge. So they're going to be really hard and crunchy when they're cold. Make sure you get them to room temperature before you bite into them. Okay, I'm going to take these macs out. I'm going to do one more minute actually, even though I smelt them. Okay, I hope they don't become brittle, because that definitely will happen if you overbake. I've done that too. It does work very well. So Heidi does the same thing. I think we were talking about maturing one day before freezing, right? Dora, I do too. I love a frozen macaron. I feel like when things are cold, you don't taste them as well, but for some reason, like I love my custards cold too, like a bread pudding. I don't want it warm. I want it cold. I love cold things. I don't know why. Egg whites more. Yes, so Abigail answered Emily. It definitely makes it, it's gonna give you a lot more time to play around with your batter, mix it up, and keep your meringue batter strong without breaking it down. So it's kind of like cream of tartar, and it also makes it really difficult to overmix your egg whites when you have the egg white powder in there. What it is it's just 100% pure albumin, so that's protein. So we got our shells. I'll take them off in a second. Whoops, everything's okay. Egg white powder is albumin, and it's pure protein. And so when you add protein to something, it strengthens it, right? It's gonna create stronger binds, and so your meringue gets stronger. Wait, Jan, the egg white powder is gonna be $400? Okay. I'm in Canada. I did click on her link. Holy mackerel, not worth it, no. I heard Bulk Barn had the egg white powder. If you ever want to try it out. What else in Canada? There are different brands that you could look at. Maybe that would be more accessible, because no, $400 would not be worth it. I mean, this lasts me months and months. I don't use a lot every single time, but I would never spend that much money on it for sure. So, yeah. It's not an end-all be-all. I'm not trying to sell you on it. It just does help create a strong meringue. Wow, that's insane, Jan. I'm glad you didn't purchase it. It amazes me how expensive things can be in a different area. Like, it's just across a border. I don't understand why they would upcharge that much. So Emily said she's done the recipe without the egg white powder and it works well. So definitely, it's not necessary. You don't have to go out and buy it. So Jelly Terry, you said all your colors change in the oven. I don't prefer wilting coloring systems. I feel like they fade really easily, and I would suggest you try something different. So like today, we did a Maricolor, which is quite, I mean, it is pricey, but I promise you it's worth it. A little bit less expensive, I feel like, is Chef Master. And if you go to like a baking supply store, usually they'll have that. And then, let's see. Oh, I took it off too fast. I have a little gap. Not too bad though. Ready, watch. No gap. Push it up. No gap. But I need to let them cool a little bit. They turn out pretty though. Good choice on the coloring. I'm a little bummed the white didn't come out more prominent, but I could have guessed that would happen. It is easier to fit all 3 plastic bags in the tip and get a more segmented 3 colors. But because I was using a little bit heavier duty, thicker, clunkier, that's the word I'm looking for, clunkier bags, they don't come out as well in 3 different colors. Pim Pratt, I love you. So do I. I do too. She said she prefers the little gap. Airy, delightful, keeps that crisp outside, chewy center. I know it bothers so many people, but I agree. Okay, what did Heidi say? Typing slow. Okay, my nephew makes dinners to sell. That's awesome, Dora. That's amazing. What a great dinner pairing to have, especially for Valentine's Day. Some rose macarons with a delicious meal. I'm excited. That's really cool pairing. Yeah, Emily, right? The Wilton coloring system is not equal to everything else. Dicey Nazanin. Me, it bothers me. Oh, yeah, there we go. I didn't see you previously. I don't know if you said anything else in the chat. I love you for it, though. My favorite is people that figure it out, you know? It bothers them, they figure it out. And I feel like you have. Your oven heats from the bottom too, and I find the outside ones cook better than the middle. Yeah, I feel like oh, so are they fuller than the middle ones? I feel like when they cook faster, not necessarily like faster from heat, but when they cook longer, I guess, or like better, I'm struggling with words here, but a lot of people will overcook their macarons on purpose to get that structure, because what's happening with that little gap is that as it sits after you take it out, it kind of the filling settles down a little bit, right? And it separates from your shell. And if it's overcooked a little bit, it will go full up to the top and you won't have that collapse. So if you want to try it, you could bake a couple minutes longer and see if you miss that gap. And if somehow it doesn't brown your shells too much, you could try that and just maybe make a nice wet filling to soften them up, like a jam center with a dam of like ganache or buttercream. Yeah, let's see if I can get something off of here. Okay, so we've got our shells. This one's smaller, so it's not going to pair up well. Let me find ones that fit. Meanwhile, I'll eat. Okay, this one should pair up. Nope, can pair up with this one. If you guys want to try it, someone did aluminum foil and it worked, and it was a really good conductor and got really full. I don't know if you're still here, Kara or Kara, but that was amazing. I love seeing that in the group. Okay, so here you go. A fun kind of Valentine's-y. I feel like because the blue took over, that it doesn't sing Valentine's Day, but let's add our diamond dust. I think I'm about to make macarons soon. Yes, I agree with, did Steffi say it? They are so addicting. So you just gotta spray a little bit. I'm gonna move you guys this way. Gosh, this is so beautiful. The diamond dust is addicting too. I don't know if it'll come off as well. Oh, the lighting is too bright, I think, to really see it, but it makes it look so pretty. I'll have to take a picture of it, but kind of, I feel like that makes it more Valentine's-y, just that. I wish you guys could see it, but I'll take some pictures. But I did get, let's see, I think I got, yeah. So this was one of the last ones. I can just tell it's a little more fragile of a top. It's doable. It'll pass. It's not like it's gonna like break on me. It's not that unsturdy. However, it's like, let me see if I can show you guys. Listen to this. Let me turn off my dehumidifier. Okay. Sounds the same, I think. Never mind. Ignore me. Earlier, it sounded more brittle. But it is, like, if I push my finger through here, I can tell it's more hollow. That's what I'm trying to say. Because this was one of the last ones I piped, I worked it a ton in my piping bag, as you saw. Yes, that's you. You're still here. Aluminum foil, you guys. I thought it was genius. I just love it. Everyone, let's start our experiments with aluminum foil. Let's see, this. So I was working my batter through the piping bag, and it gets a lot more fragile, and you can hear that it's hollow inside. So if you have problems with hollow, maybe try undermix, or not undermixing, but mixing less than you usually do. Okay, I gotta get going. My kids have been in their room for an hour and a half. Did I miss? It sounds hollow. Yes, see? It just has that hollow sound. I know I'm like doing it with my nail to make it even more apparent, but yeah. But look how, I just love the look of the multicolored shells. They're just so pretty. And the diamond dust was the sugar art. Yeah, someone asked. Sending love. Hi from London. They're not fitting perfectly. But open it up. Is that what it said? Open it up. Let me get one off. I keep getting ones off that are. Ugh. See, there's still that gap. It's really hard for, they're still too warm where they bend when I open them. But there's definitely a gap. All right, guys. I tried it as the rest of my batter needed piped. Oh yeah, because you didn't have any more mats left, right? Not too bad. Not amazing. Still tastes great to me. First batch of the year for me. Thank you guys so much for joining and doing it with me. So that's a good depiction of how to do multicolored macs. Again, someone said there's the saran wrap method too, which would be really nice, especially with me, since I don't have plastic single-use piping bags. The plastic, let me try this again. The saran wrap might be a good choice to get everything into the tip at once, because as you can see, the white didn't come through as well. Okay, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. And if you're subscribed to my newsletter, I'll write up a little bit of a synopsis on the live. Thank you for joining. Also, I tried to pop in on the Facebook group. I'm sorry I've been lacking, and I'll try to check in more this week. I liked it. Thank you. Thanks for being here, you guys. I'll ask that again on the next live. Oh, did I miss something? Do you have a brand of luster dust? I've only tried the sugar art, and I like it a lot. I hear Bake Bell has some good ones too. So you could try that. I don't know how they're priced though. That was a quick live for you. Yeah, okay. Thanks so much for being here, you guys. Thanks for popping in. And thanks for being here. Happy New Year. Stay safe. I'm trying to figure out how to stop it. I always forget. Bye.